Hello guys and welcome back to KSP Resurgence. I have not said that sentence in ages. I went on vacation, so I haven't recorded in a while. Thankfully I had some videos ready to upload, so there wasn't a drought of content. So you may be wondering what I'm doing here. I was hoping to do this in a previous episode, but I wanted to return the crew of Ors in orbit around Olia home, because they've been here for over 2 years, I believe. 2 Kerbal years, that is. Kerbal years are shorter than human years because Kerbal days are shorter than human days. Well, then again, Celestial Harmony does have the days. The days are longer, but I don't think it changes the calendar at all. There's a mod for that, so I probably should get it. I thought HDR, or not HDR, but anti-aliasing was goofing up the engine visuals again. Because TUFX and some other graphics mods tends to do that. Kind of conflicts with the waterfall. Yeah, I want to do this. Since I had a bit of fuel left in Ors, so I'm returning it into a low sanctuary orbit so I can get my Destiny space shuttle to deliver the crew home. Destiny cannot make it to Olia, so that's why I'm doing that. So when I did this previously off camera, I didn't change my inclination, so I was too inclined and I ran out of fuel. It was really annoying because my space shuttle ran out of fuel right as I was trying to deorbit it, so that was like the most annoying thing ever. Thankfully I did end up getting it to work. So, and you may be wondering, yes, we finally are going interplanetary in this episode. No more filler. I do apologize for the filler, a couple previous episodes being somewhat filler. I mean, I did assemble the interplanetary vehicle, but the one after that was just me doing the sending up the lander. So it was just kind of boring. There will be an interplanetary landing this time around, so that's nice. Yeah, I didn't have enough fuel and ores to brake with the engine, so I'm doing a little bit of a risky move here, actually aerobraking a space station. Well, the Kerbals do have parachutes. They'll probably I could have gotten them on EVA and gotten them to escape, but I didn't want to do that because that's unsafe. Besides, I want another excuse to use the Destiny shuttle. Speaking of the Destiny shuttle, I'm really proud of how that came out. If you want to see the video where I designed it, it's on. I think it's episode 7 of KSP Resurgence, if I recall correctly. I don't know why, but that video didn't do so well. Oh, and by the way, I noticed a lot of you have been doing the Kerbal game suggestions, which I really appreciate. It'll be in the next episode, don't worry. Or the episode after that. Or the one after that. I'll get around to adding you, and I'll get around to adding all the Kerbals, and then they'll appear in episodes when I feel like it. So, you may be wondering where we're going today. We're going to a planet called Valhillheim. It's a desert world with a very thin atmosphere. Super thin, thin enough to aerobrake. It's just thick enough to aerobrake, but too thin to do any planes or anything. Despite being able to aerobrake there and actually land with parachutes, it's still going to be very difficult. I did have to try the landing numerous times just to be able to slow down without crashing. And here's another aerobrake pass with a station. Firefly doing its best. Now, later in the video, we'll see that Firefly did tweak out because the configs for Celestial Harmony were bad for some reason. That might be a me problem, but then again, it could be an actual mod conflict with Firefly and Celestial Harmony. It did work in previous missions. Valhillheim did have its own configs, but they just broke for some reason, so we'll have to get that fixed. I wouldn't like there to be generic Firefly effects on some of the later planets, because that would be kind of sad. Firefly lets different bodies have different plasma colors depending on their atmospheric composition. It's pretty cool. So I'm making sure that we're actually in a somewhat somewhat low orbit that's not so inclined, just to give the Destiny shuttle a little bit of an easier time approaching. I really want to revamp the Destiny shuttle. There are a lot of issues with it, such as its limited flight, atmospheric flight. The RCS is a little bit weird. The center of mass doesn't really line up, so it tends to flip out and toss around, especially when controlling from the docking port. Now that's an inadequate orbit, so now I'm gonna launch this shuttle. This is a Destiny shuttle. It's a really cool space shuttle I designed. I only have one Kerbal on here just to have room for the rest of the crew from the ores. I can hold 6 Kerbals, which I really do like. It's kind of the sweet spot. It's most unstable right before the boosters go out, and I have to hold down W or else it'll flip out of control. Thankfully, though, that doesn't last for long, and eventually the solid rocket boosters run out of fuel. And then after that, it's somewhat stable until the main tank starts to run out of fuel, because then it starts to get unstable again. That's all it is with space shuttles. They always get unstable, because the center of mass is always changing. Usually that isn't a problem, because the center of mass is always in the center. It just goes lower, but with space shuttles, the center of mass always shifts towards the space shuttle itself, so that's really annoying. For this reason, we aren't really gonna get the best orbit, but thankfully, the Destiny has plenty of fuel, thanks to its pentaborane hypergolic rocket. There is a better oxidizer that comes with a mod Chemical Technologies, but that's really far from where we are. It's in a very, very far away tech node. I really wish I could I want to make my own tech tree that revolves around Chemical Technologies, because I don't like the best hypergolic oxidizer being in the same tech node as the endgame antimatter tanks. Minor inconvenience. For some reason, the Grigfins and Firefly don't get along very well, because I think they lag out my game. Probably because all of the weird geometry involved in the Grigfins. I apologize for the nighttime landing, but I hope you'll be able to see it. We did end up landing in the ocean just fine and swell, which is what this booster is made to do. It's made to land in the ocean. I don't want to land it on land because then it'll crash. I mean, it doesn't have landing legs, but I could try adding some, but I just don't want to. If you wonder how I got back to the booster and ended up recovering it, it's a little mod called FMRS. It lets you turn back time to land your recoverable rockets. And I do believe it refunds any funds for you if you're playing on career mode. I'm not doing career, I'm just doing plain old science. But if I'm doing career in the future, or if you're doing career, FMRS is very useful. Especially if you're poor and broke. And you need to save money on rockets. I might do career for my next playthrough, but I'm not sure. I did put landing gear on Destiny, but I always end up landing it in the ocean, just because it's just much easier to land it in the ocean. And there's no consequences for me landing it in the ocean, so that's nice. I tend to have these episodes to be around a little over 20 minutes long, just because I feel like it's a sweet spot in terms of mix between content and the YouTube algorithm reaching out to people about it. We have now approached the space station, and we're going to initiate the docking procedure. Now, originally I wasn't going to dock to it, and I was going to get the Kerbals on EVA, but I just didn't feel like it. I just wanted to do things the hard way. Besides, I felt like docking would have been somewhat easy with this. Of course, we're using the old reliable Matt Lown lazy method of docking. If you don't know, basically have both of the docking ports face each other. Well, it's not completely infallible, as you can see, because it did end up doing something really weird here. They were touching, but not completely aligned, so they couldn't really dock. I did have to use the SAS wheels to kind of assist it, and I did end up getting a hard dock, so that's pretty good. Anyway, we're transferring the crew and broadcasting the last tiny bit of science. And courtesy of free IVA, we can see if everyone's in the spaceship. And then this is the part where we fly away. So I'm gonna make sure we land in the daytime, just so we don't end up flying in the dark. Because it's not good for me, it's not good for you, because nobody can see anything. Now, I did kind of try landing at the KSC, but the trajectories mod is never accurate. It's like literally never accurate with space planes. Because it only calculates what direction you're currently facing in. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the trajectories mod did predict landing in a different location when I pointed prograde. It doesn't make sense, not to mention I always tilted a different direction. And also, I don't think it takes into account whether I have air brakes deployed. Well, it does, but it didn't really. It didn't show them because I was in space and didn't have them deployed. I really like how Kerbal's space program looks in 2025. Volumetric clouds, Firefly, Parallax, all the great mods make a KSP look great. I did say this in a previous video, I wish there were mods that revamped the Kerbals to look a little better, because they do look way better in Kerbal's space program too, which I do like. We do have stuff like texture replacer to give them unique textures, and like you can give them mustaches, beards, different hair colors, different skin colors. You can make them blue if you want to, like in Matt Lown's Duna Attacks movie. But I just have them have different hairstyles. I mean, I could try making custom textures, but I just don't want to do that right now. Now, last episode I sent Pathfinder on its merry way to Valhillheim, but this time we're actually going to land there. It's powered by liquid methane. What I like about methane in nuclear thermal rockets is that methane is denser, so you don't have to send up as many fuel tanks. Unfortunately, it's much heavier than hydrogen, so you're going to have to send up a much heavier rocket just to get in orbit. If you want to see the stupid rockets I sent, I think episode 8 is where I assembled it. You can see my really dumb rocket ideas, my unreasonable rockets I used. So that's how I assembled my interplanetary vehicle. Looks pretty cool, to be honest. The gravity ring is from a Stock-alike Space Station Extensions Redux. It's a really great mod that adds a bunch of engine. No, it doesn't add engines. It adds crew capsules, it adds habitation pods, science labs, a few geodesic domes, and of course gravity rings. I really wish there were more command pod mods, because out of all the mods there are, I don't think there's one that adds a standard 3.75 meter cockpit. I mean, what I mean by standard is that it has a 1.25 meter top, like the Mark III cockpit. But that part just doesn't exist. I mean, I'm sure there is a mod out there, but I just don't have it. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I mean, I think USI has some pretty good parts, because there are separate part mods and USI life support mods. So I might get the USI part mod, just because I don't want the USI life support to worry about. I might do life support in my next playthrough, but not for this one. Now this is Valhillheim, the desert planet. Looks pretty cool, especially with volumetric clouds giving it cool looking dust storms and cool kind of circular clouds. So, did Valhillheim have life? Did it once have oceans? It's all mystery. Maybe we'll find out eventually. We'll find out soon, and by soon I mean like in a couple months the Kerbals, just because it's a long flight there. Thankfully with Time Warp I can make it last a couple minutes. my main gripe about this vehicle is how slow it is to turn around. I'm sure there are like much worse vehicles out there, especially some of the huge interstellar ones I've been seeing people make. But this is still somewhat slow. Anyway, we're almost to Valhillheim and we're almost ready to do the retrograde burn. I'm thinking about doing a live stream for when I make my second interplanetary vehicle. Or my first real interplanetary vehicle that can actually go lots of places. Because Pathfinder, it can go certain locations, but despite having a high-tech thermonuclear rocket, it can't really go the furthest. It only has a few thousand meters per second, and for a reusable one that actually has to reach orbit again around Sanctar, that's not very good. It can't really go to any of the gas giants. I think it can only go to Valhillheim. Maybe it can go to Trom. Maybe, but I wouldn't count on it. This may be like a one-use spacecraft. Maybe I'll use it again. Maybe I'll like send some more missions to Valhillheim, but I probably won't. What I'm probably gonna do is make a colony on Krob and then harvest resources, get some more materials, get some science, and then I'm gonna make a super powerful interplanetary vehicle. Now, Cores, the other space station around Scilly, must be doing very good with science. Speaking of science, Pathfinder has a science lab of its own, but I can't transmit any science because somebody forgot to put an antenna on the spacecraft. Which is just swell, isn't it? I'll just have to add one when I get back. There are docking ports there for a reason. I mean, I would like to send it up with the crew, but I don't think the Destiny could do that. Because I did use the Destiny to take up the crew. And also I will have to get a probe core for Destiny because I just realized there are 6 Kerbals on the Pathfinder, and Destiny only has a capacity for 6 Kerbals. So so I'm going to use one of those seeks for the pilot, unless I get a drone core. I mean, I'm sure adding a tiny little probe core and clipping it inside won't be that hard, but that's kind of cheaty. Whatever, I do it all the time. You know, what really bothers me is how bad probe cores are early game. Just because the limited amount of maneuvering they can do, and the fact that some just don't have reaction wheels. It's just super annoying. I never tried an unkerbal start or any other text trees that makes you use probes before you unlock crew. I might want to try one. Maybe I should make my own text tree. I've been yapping about making my own text tree in numerous videos past. There is an app that lets you make text trees pretty easily. The hard part is going to be assigning all the parks to the tech tree, because I have so many parks mods, it's not even funny. Now, I did have to do this landing numerous times just because Valhillheim is difficult to land on. It has 0.8 Gs, but you can use parachutes. But with only 0.1% of... with only 10% of Sanctar's atmosphere, it's going to be very, very difficult to use those parachutes. Thankfully, I did figure it out in the end. I really like aerospikes, especially the dart ones. They look super cool, and they're useful in a lot of variety of environments. And also, they use liquid hydrogen, which is super light. I'm going to make sure to get the maximum amount of science I can here, but unfortunately, due to the weird situation with the science, I can't really reach the science experiments from the crew capsule. Mostly because I can't actually get my Kerbals up there, because Valhillheim is too gravity intense. I did put a space dust scanner on here, but unfortunately, Celestial Harmony is not compatible with space dust. I mean, I really want to make a config for it, but someone else already tried. In fact, it was for his mod, Space Dust Next, which has a bunch of other propellants and resources, but it just wouldn't work out for him for some reason. I heard that Space Dust doesn't really like planet replacers. System replacers, I mean. But I'm sure there must be a way, and I'd really like to help. Besides, how else am I going to get my fusion fuels and antimatter? I could try to get helium-3 the old-fashioned way with regolith harvesting. That'll probably take 50 years. Especially with big interstellar vehicles we're going to make going forward. Antimatter isn't that hard. All you gotta do is make a bunch of fission pellets. Then again, I've never tried mining uranium before, so I'm not sure how difficult it's going to be. Especially with a Whirligig nuclear reprocessor, which I've heard is really, really tedious to use. So, we have to get ready for that. Then again, Kerbal colonies, I'm sure, will make things a lot easier. Especially with the recipes that I'm going to make well, I mean, I think someone else already made a config for a bunch of them. So, I might want to try using that config list. I mean, I did experiment making my own config list, and it kind of did work. I kind of stopped working on it just because I didn't really feel like working on it. But I think someone else made a config list. I'll be sure to link that in the description. If it's not in the description, please comment saying, hey, you forgot to put that in the description. So feel free to harass me if I forgot to link something. Anyway, the banter aside, we actually did end up landing on Valhillheim successfully, and we're getting the Kerbals out on an EVA to overlook the sunset. There's a good thumbnail pic there. Well, actually, not as good as this one because it doesn't have the flag. Can't forget the flag. You should never forget the flag. I mean, I've forgotten the flag a couple of times, and sometimes I couldn't even place the flag. Like, I remember my JSQ playthrough I wasn't a YouTuber back then. I wasn't really a consistent uploader back then. I'd never make videos. But I landed on a Cryo, which is a moon of Lindor, which is a Saturn analog added by JSQ. And for some reason, it was really, really laggy, so I couldn't really do anything with it without the game crashing. Anyway, we got our science, we got our surface sample and EVA report. Now it's time to go home. Make sure to make a quick save, and off we go. Now I like to joke about this lander like tumbling around like it's tipsy or something, because it's really hard to control. It always tends to tip over by itself, and it's even worse. The dart engines don't even have any gimbaling, so that makes things a lot harder to control. Thankfully, we do have excess fuel, way more than enough to get into orbit and rendezvous with a mothership. So thankfully, our Kerbals have nothing to worry about. Now, at this point, I'm going to rendezvous with a mothership and get the Kerbals reunited with the other Kerbals. Reunite the space frogs. Yeah, where am I going to go next after this? I'm probably going to land on Trom next. That'll be my next interplanetary destination. Trom has a bunch of moons also. In case you don't know, Trom is an egg-shaped dwarf planet that's in Celestial Harmony, this planet pack I'm using. I've been there before. It's also the reason I couldn't use a rescale config, because oblate planets do not work with sigma dimensions, which is why I used to rescale my solar systems. Now, things are really going good for Kerbal Space Program right now. Well, for the game itself, no, but for the community and the mods, definitely. Because we got new stuff like Promised Worlds being a thing. I really want to play that planet pack sometime. Maybe I'll do it in my next series, or maybe I'll do a mod review. Because I do believe the mod is out now. Maybe I'll just make another CCAN instance so I can review it without having to pillage my current install. That's like the only thing turning me off from doing planet pack reviews, is that I have to goof off with my mod install, and I do not want to do that. Anyway, we have reunited the space frogs, and I'm making sure to transfer all of my science, because if I don't, I'm going to end up getting really angry at myself. So, we're back in the lab, all the science is in the lab, and all the Kerbals are on board this mothership. And then, since we don't need the lander, we can just get rid of it. It was a pretty cool lander, but it served its purpose. Bye, lander. See you later. Anyway, I'm not gonna send this home yet, but that is gonna be the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. Bye!